There are 3 evils among all characters. Boy, this is gonna be a nightmare. And they're the puppeteer, poisoner, and Lilith. Oh god, killing more characters at night, and corruption, and evil that can't lie, and more corruption?
Oh my.
How is this the first village? Good lord. Well, we got a fortune teller. I guess I'll try her ability. Judge. Well, someone's about to die. Druid could pick an outcast. Now, it's gonna be a face down one. So, I guess I'll try number 4. I was a lover. Okay, so we know Baker's sus, because there weren't any Bakers before them. But there are up to 2 corruptions. Okay, keep flipping. 1 evil adjacent to me. I'm 3 cards away from corrupted character. Well, that's suspicious of the Baker, since they're 2 cards away. The Slayer could be useful. And another fortune teller. It's crazy I still lose 2 HP. But at least I can still kill an innocent. So there's absolutely no reason for there to be 2 fortune tellers unless one of them's evil. So that helps. Evil. Also, we don't see an outcast. So that's going to be a plague doctor. I think it tells me the face down one is the plague doctor. I guess I could use that to check to see if the druid is good or not. Yeah, let's just test the plague doctor and the other 2. Yeah, okay, there's a plague doctor. Well, she's telling the truth. Could be evil, but I'll mark you as a truth teller. Plague doctor. So the second probable evil is the 1 evil next to the lover. There's a situation where either one of them could be evil. Then we don't have the third. It's, I guess, between the judge and the slayer. I feel like I just gotta use the fortune teller to see if they start giving bad info. Like, these are 2 good characters. What if they say it's evil? That's sus. Okay, so either evil or corrupted. I'm tempted to just fire a slayer shot then. But, of course, slayer could be evil. Let's try. He couldn't kill number 1. Okay, so either slayer is corrupted or evil, or the fortune teller is just corrupted. Well, if the other fortune teller also says true, we're in for a bad time. But if they say false, then I've got some really helpful info. Thank the Lord. Okay, you are telling the truth. You are at least not an evil liar. So that means this fortune teller has to be evil. Die. Puppeteer. Oh, puppeteer, huh? So that makes either the fortune teller or the judge secretly evil. But Slayer could not kill number 1. So either they're poisoned or evil. Bard is not telling the truth. 3 cards in this direction is fortune teller, who's definitely not corrupted. And 3 in this direction is druid, who's definitely not corrupted. So Bard is not telling the truth. So can I start narrowing this down yet? Let's say Bard is evil. We actually could have the Baker also be evil, and then the lover be corrupted. Then the Slayer would be the second corrupted, which is possible. Gross. Or Baker could just be corrupted. Lover would be good. So Baker would have to be corrupted by Plague Doctor. So that would mean Bard is Lilith. And then who would be the poisoner? I mean, it had to be either the Slayer or the Judge, but that would not explain the Slayer's issue. Because here's the thing. Slayer would be the poisoner who would have to poison the fortune teller, but the fortune teller told the truth. So that's not the case. Or if the Judge is the poisoner, then the druid would have lied. And the Slayer would have had to have been corrupted. That just doesn't make sense. So what if it's the Baker that's evil, and the Bard is just corrupted? Lover would still be good. And again, the Baker would have to be Lilith. So again, we don't have a home for the poisoner. So then the other possibility, what if the lover is evil and just both of these are corrupted? That's possible, but that's all the corruption. So lover would have to be poisoner, so Slayer could be Lilith, and then the Judge is just the good guy. So that's the other possibility. So 2 is never lying. They could be evil, but they can't be lying. So I find out if they're lying. 5 is actually always lying. Because yeah, either there's 0 or 2 evils adjacent to her, so okay. That's not helpful. Well, 4 and 6 are also always lying. In fact, 8 is also always lying. All 4 of these are always lying. I just don't know if they're evil or not. So I guess the fortune teller needed to get me more intel. Shit. Oh, and then it's a 50-50 on the fortune teller and judge, too. Well, all I need to do is don't lose 2 50-50s. All right, let me make sure that lover's lying. Ah! That's sus. How is this possible? How is it possible for judge to say the lover's saying the truth? Glad I checked this. Let's say both of these are telling the truth. Then where's the poisoner? 4, 6, or 8 cannot be the poisoner. So maybe then got corruptions? I mean, the only way would have to be for, like, there to be 3 corrupteds. And that's not possible. Unless if lover's evil. Wait, no, the puppeteer is number 1. I can't have 3 evils here. It doesn't work. Okay, the only other possibility is if Slayer was the puppeteer and hit the fortune teller, would the puppet override that? That's the only possible way this can make sense. So the puppet would then not be corrupted. It would be evil until the truth, and the corruption's just gone. Because then, like, we could have Slayer be the poisoner, and then fortune teller is the bonus, the puppet, and then we have a 50-50 between Bard and Baker, pretty much. Okay, let's try this theory. This is the only possible way this makes sense. Yeah, poisoner. So then it's going to be the fortune teller as the bonus, who's the puppet, and now it's actually a 50-50. I don't have much I can do here because the plague doctor hit one of these two. It could be either. Let's try the Baker. That was Lilith, all right? Wouldn't have mattered. Okay, so I learned something important, that the puppet overrides the poison character. That's such a weird quirk and not something that's very intuitive, but I'm glad I got it. So another puppeteer, shaman with 2 same village roles, and Ba. Okay, so I see no corruption at least. Thank God for that. Yep, thank you, Bard. You are telling the truth, actually. Good. 7 is a real Baker. Yeah, there's no Lilith either. I am the original Baker. Okay, well, someone's gonna become a Baker. They're backing each other up. Let's see. I was a medium. Wait, is everyone about to become a Baker? Oh, God. Oh, no. Bombardier. That could easily be evil. Dreamer. I was a lover. Oh, God. 3 Bakers. They could all be telling the truth. Second Dreamer. There can be 2 of the same villager roles. In fact, there must be 2 of the same villager roles with Shaman. Well, then what's the last one? Closest evil is counterclockwise. So, let's take a look at the Bakers, huh? One of them say they were a medium, so then we would have 2 mediums, which would be fine, except for the fact there's also 2 dreamers. But here's the thing. When this Baker flipped, another Baker came afterwards. Unless, if this Baker was a faker, like if this Baker was the faker, then what happened was this Baker created this Baker. Okay, there's actually only 1 outcast, so Bombardier is good. I feel like the hard part actually might be even getting 3 evils. What I'm trying to do right now, though, is it ever possible for this to be evil? I mean, medium would have to be evil then. But then, like, how did the other Bakers even come up? No one else said they're the original Bakers, so both of these would also have to lie, and then all of a sudden we have 4 evils. That's not okay. And we have the poet technically lying then, too, and that's just too much. I think we actually can just confirm this Baker and this medium, because there is no lying without evil. And now we have 5 characters, 3 evil. Well, and a 4th truth-telling evil. There could be a world in which we have good, good, and then 3 evils here. Except Poet would be telling the truth. So actually, that's not possible. Unless if Bard is the bonus. And then it would actually be equidistant. Alright, that's a possibility. Next possibility is this Baker being evil, and then 6 is the Baker that was hit by 7. Well, then it could be like any 2 of these 3, couldn't it? That's disturbing. Like, let's say it's 9 and 8. You'd be good, and you'd be the bonus. That checks out. What if it's 8 and 5? Then we wouldn't have a duplicate. Actually, I'm pretty sure it can't be 3, 5, 8. Well, actually, then, technically, if the medium is evil, how are we going to have a duplicate at all? Because even if it's 3, 8, 9, that would mean we would not have actually had duplicate dreamers and not have had duplicate mediums. So I feel like 3 has to be good then. So what, it's just 5, 8, 9? Is there any way I can just check this to make sure it's not crazy? Like, if anything, I'm suspicious the Bard is the puppet. So what if the dreamer hits the Bard? Yeah, it could be Ba. And this will probably say something different. would be puppeteer. I don't know how helpful that actually is. I'm not sure how to best use the dreamer. Anyways, I do feel like it's 5, 8, 9. Start with 9. That's the puppeteer. Dreamer. Got Ba. And other dreamer. Shaman. Yeah, okay. And then you're the puppet. Rule of duplicates, bitch. Okay, only 1 minion, 1 demon. So twin minion and Ba. So it's not too bad. We do have 1 corruption, potentially a plague doctor, and doppelganger. I feel like this can't be that hard a set, right? Slayer's helpful. Hunter's helpful. Okay, let's see. That's another hunter. Could be doppelganger. Let's check this one. Oh god, Baker, who says they were a bishop. That's a sus. All right, let me check the other hunter. 3 cards away. That's a second sus. Hold on. Starting to look good here. 1 more liar and I can just start executing. Try 3. Jester's nice. Closest evil is clockwise. And bishop. Between 725, there's minion, outcast, and villager. How does the doppelganger plus Baker work? Nobody said they were the original Baker. Oh, well, 2 could be a doppelganger. So I have a hunch, actually. If this is doppelganger, this hunter could be good. And then we have 2 evils. I feel like Baker and Baker being evil just kind of line up pretty nicely. That checks out for Enlightened. That checks out for Bishop. Checks out for Doppelganger. I can use Slayer to check. Let's go. Let's hit this Baker. Yeah, it's Ba. I mean, Jester could be corrupted. No, actually, there's no corruption. Yeah, there's no corruption, so Jester has to be telling the truth. I'll do Slayer, since we know they're good. Ba, since we know they're evil. And then Baker. See what they say. 2 evils. Yeah, so it's the other Baker. That's pretty easy, clean. Yeah, that was a surprise easy one in the middle of it. I'll take it. We got 2 minions and a demon, huh? Evils are not adjacent to each other. So Poisoner, gross. Minion and Puka. So that's 3 corruptions with Plague Doctor making it potentially 4. Disgusting. Oh, but the Alchemist may have cured 2 corruptions. May have. So Dreamer's probably not corrupted. Confessor is dizzy. So either the Alchemist is corrupted or evil, or the Confessor is, or both. But immediate sus, and potentially sus on you, but smaller sus. Let's see, 10. Dizzy again. Wow, that's a good start. Bombardier. Okay, hopefully there's no other outcasts. 2 cards away from corrupted character. Well, if Bard is telling the truth and Confessor is corrupted, that says a lot about Alchemist. Right side is more evil. So that includes the center. So saying there's more evil in these 6 than there are in these 4, which mathematically would make sense. Closest evil is clockwise. And Plague Doctor. All right, so let's consider some options. Okay, what if the Alchemist is just good? And so he cured the corruption on the Knitter and the Dreamer, so those both have to be good. Then we would have to have 2 evils. And the third is either Plague Doctor or Bombardier. So Architect is telling the truth. Enlightened actually is telling the truth no matter what. You're good there. Where's the corruption? I guess Bard could be corrupted? That would be possible? Well, but then Knitter says evils are not adjacent to each other. So that would make evils adjacent to each other. That's interesting. So I don't think the Alchemist can ever be telling the truth. So we can't have 3 evils among them. But, I mean, the issue is we have up to 4 corruption. So I feel like any combination is pretty viable. I feel like there's too many possibilities there. What if I focus more on Plague Doctor or Bombardier? Like, what if Plague Doctor is evil? Enlightened would be telling the truth. Plague Doctor could not be Puka. Bombardier would be good. I mean, there's still a ton of possibilities. I mean, we could have, like, you know, corrupted, good. Technically good or evil, because actually this would be the difference maker. Great. I feel like I can't do anything until I do a Plague Doctor, because right now the possibilities are just way too high. Okay, Alchemist is either evil or corrupted. So I can use Plague Doctor to test. So let's see. 5 is evil, 2 is corrupted. Well, that is what an honest and an evil Plague Doctor would say. Shit. Let's hope this Plague Doctor is telling the truth. What would this Dreamer tell me about Bombardier? Could be Minion. I don't know how much I trust Dreamer. Okay, is there a situation in which Plague Doctor and Alchemist would be evil? And Bombardier is good? then Enlightened has to be good in that case. Because if Enlightened was evil, then Architect would also have to be evil, and then we have 4 evils. But Enlightened could be corrupted, and Architect could be evil. Then Bard would be telling the truth. Then we would have Corrupteds here. Evils are not adjacent to each other. I mean, Dreamer, I guess, would have just missed. If this was the case, how could Confessor possibly be corrupted? Because Plague Doctor is the only one that can make that jump, but the Plague Doctor would be evil. So Enlightened is not corrupted then, nor is it evil, so Enlightened would have to be good. Architect would have to be good. In fact, I should be careful about Corrupteds, because they could only be adjacent to evil. Okay, so if Architect's telling the truth, that would mean Bard has to be good, and then Confessor has to be corrupted, and then Dreamer can't be good. Again, how else would Confessor be corrupted? But then evils would be adjacent to each other, so you'd be corrupted, and you'd be corrupted, and all of a sudden, we have 3 corruptions that would need to come from 3 separate evils. And one of them is just the stupid minion. They don't corrupt anybody. So that's not possible. Okay, so Plague Doctor has to be telling the truth then. Okay, and maybe I can figure out some info by killing off the Bombardier. Minion. Alright, so okay, Dreamer's telling the truth. Good. Good, but corrupted, and good. And actually not corrupted. That's a good start. But the issue now is that we have a Plague Doctor, so there could be up to 4 corruptions. Maybe Enlightened is the one to look at next? What if Enlightened is good and telling the truth? That would probably put evil on Confessor, because this minion's coming up. We would have to have an evil here. And then 7 and 6 would have to be good or corrupted. Well, actually, Architect is always telling the truth. So Confessor, since they're not the minion, they have to corrupt somebody, and it couldn't be the Plague Doctor, so it's going to be the Knitter. Either they're corrupted or evil, actually. So, for sure they're lying. Evils are adjacent to each other. So I guess that could make the Knitter evil. Or the Confessor or Bard evil. Okay, let's try evil first. They're adjacent. And then we have corrupted and truth. So Plague Doctor hits Confessor. And then, yeah, with these 2 next to each other, Alchemist is the only possible corruption. So that's a valid combo. Okay, what if the Knitter is just corrupted? Then whichever Bard or Confessor would be, whichever one of them is evil, then they have to corrupt somebody, but neither the Architect nor the Dreamer are corrupted. So that's not possible. The Knitter would be evil in that circumstance. But then we have to go back to Enlightened. What if Enlightened's not telling the truth? What if they are evil? So that would mean Architect would be lying. So Architect would have to either be evil or corrupted. Let's try evil first. Then we would need 2 corruptions. 3 corruptions, actually. Which, how do you corrupt both Confessor and Knitter? That doesn't make sense. So then we could maybe have Architect be corrupted. Bard be evil. But then Bard would have to be lying. This Confessor would have to be corrupted, and Bard would be telling the truth. So that's not possible. So then last option, Enlightened could be corrupted. Then once again, Architect and or Bard could be evil. Well, Bard is probably telling the truth. Yeah, Bard has to be telling the truth here, because if Bard wasn't telling the truth, let's say via being evil, then we would need the Architect to be corrupted for that to be possible for it to be lying. But the Architect wouldn't be lying. They would be telling the truth in this situation. So Bard would have to be telling the truth then. Well, but then Architect would have to be telling the truth as well. So then I guess Knitter would have to be evil, which could make Confessor evil, and this Confessor corrupted. Is that possible? No, because Dreamer would have to be corrupted then. I think it's just 1 in 10. Here, I'll hit the Confessor first. Poisoner, hell yeah. And 4 is just corrupted. Let's go! I actually thought that would have been impossible. I cannot believe I got through that. 1 demon, 1 minion, shaman. So duplicate villagers. And just 1 potential corruption. That's not too bad. It's a tiny one. Fortune teller, that's fine. Second fortune teller, that's also technically fine. Oracle, 6 or 5 is a shaman. Let's see. The Slayer, that's interesting. 1 is a real fortune teller. Interesting. Wretch, there's an outsider, and Judge. So, okay, we have only 1 outsider. So that's good. You're a good guy then. There is no poison then. Excellent. So no lying. Let's just say medium is lying. Fortune teller would also be evil. Then we would have no duplicates. So it's actually just not possible. Therefore, both of you are good. Fortune teller could be helpful. Well, and actually, since we need to have a duplicate, this fortune teller is also good. I feel like I could just figure it out from here then. So I guess I'll check Wretch and Slayer. True. Okay, so it's gonna be Slayer. Let me just try the Slayer's ability just to make sure nothing weird happens with the Judge. Couldn't kill him. Yeah, because you're evil. Shaman. And other fortune teller, we'll go Wretch and let's say, oh, actually, Oracle told the truth, so we'll check Judge. That says true, we killed the Judge. Very nice. That was a super easy village. Much needed. So 1 outcast, 1 minion, 1 demon. Counsellor. Okay, so we get a second outcast and 2 potential corruptions, 3 with Plague Doctor, and then we have a doppelganger. So this will be a bit trickier. There's our Plague Doctor. Bard, 3 away from corrupted character. 1 evil adjacent to me. I don't think we have duplicates, right? 2 evils adjacent to me? No, we can with doppelganger. Although, I don't think this can be the doppelganger, unless there's a 3rd leveler somewhere. 1 is evil, 7, 8, or 4. Let's just check them all. 5 is allegedly good. 4 is allegedly evil. I am the original baker. Okay, well, you're good. Also, do we think there's a doppelganger in play? So, I mean, the sus is on the 2 lovers. What are the odds that the 2 evils are next to this lover? That seems really low. But if that is the case, you're good and somehow telling the truth. Then we have evil and evil. I guess which would mean the poet would be corrupted and Bard would be telling the truth. Gemcrafter would also be corrupted. Is that possible with the minions and demons we have? There'd be no Counsellor. Actually, yeah, where is the Counsellor? If 1 villager becomes an outcast role, oh, that role could just be the doppelganger, right? Well, but who would be the doppelganger then? Yeah, that doesn't actually make sense. Because neither of these could be Puka. I'm not convinced Plague Doctor is the outcast created by the Counsellor. So let's say Lover is evil and Poet is right. They knew it. Then Empress would be right. Baker is good. Yeah, that just checks out. Gemcrafter would be right. Lover would be right. We're running out of potential evils. I guess it would have to be Bard. But again, neither could be Puka. Well, I guess actually, no. Lover could be corrupted. And this could be Puka. Well, if Bard is Puka, then Lover can't be Counsellor because they're not next to an outcast. Actually, I think we can do something a little smarter here. Plague Doctor can't be Puka because the Baker is telling the truth. Because if they're lying, they say they're random villager role. And Plague Doctor also can't be the Counsellor because the Counsellor would have to create a doppelganger and that would be one of these. So Plague Doctor has to be good, which is helpful. Which means either Bard or Empress is evil. Because if they're creating outsiders, either the Plague Doctor or one of the lovers. So actually, I found out that Lover could not be good or evil, so they must be corrupted. I could use Plague Doctor to get some info here. Alright, 4 is corrupted, 2 is evil. I think that's actually just true. We know that Lover was corrupted by process elimination, so I could just kill the Bard. You're the Counsellor. Okay, that checks out. Creating the Plague Doctor. So then, one of you is the doppelganger. We know you're corrupted. We know you're evil or corrupted. You can't... where can Puka be? You can't be Puka, so you have to be corrupted. 7, 8, or 4 are not evil, so you are either evil or corrupted. Oh, this Lover is telling the truth. So, doppelganger's in here. So it's actually either Empress or Gemcrafter. If Empress is evil, then Gemcrafter is corrupted. That checks out. Puka. And then you'd be hit by Plague Doctor. Or, if Gemcrafter is evil, 5 would have to be evil somehow. We can't have 3 evils. So, it's going to be Empress. Nice. Tearing through these. We got our 7th village. 2 minions and a demon. There's going to be Twin Minion, Minion, and Lilith. So, just 1 corruption with Plague Doctor. I feel like this is an overall easy set. 7 or 6 is a Twin Minion. Oh, let's see if one of them can die. I should not flip them over and see if Lilith can wipe them out. 1 is evil, 5, 9, or 4. Again, I'll just not touch those. So we'll touch 3 and then I'll go for 8. Plague Doctor. Well, Plague Doctor could be a duplicate. We'll hit 8. And then who dies? 9 dies. So at most, 1 of 5 or 4 are evil. Okay, let's see what 10 is. Knight who can't die. There is the corruption, unfortunately. And I'll check 4. We got a judge. Oh, Lilith could kill an evil character, though, which is actually kind of funny. I wonder if the evils killed would go up. I'll hit 5 then. 2 cards away from corrupted character. Okay, so I probably want to test flip over 7 then, and just let 6 die. Maybe we'll kill off a twin minion. Yeah! Evil's killed! Get fucked. Okay, so Lilith cannot kill herself, so I imagine it's the twin minion that died. Those evil is counterclockwise. You are telling the truth, unless the Slayer is also evil. Black Doctor cannot be corrupted. So what I'm trying to figure out now is it possible for the Knight to be corrupted? Because I would like a free stab at that. Let's say Poet's telling the truth, and then Enlightened is corrupted. That's our 1 corruption down. I could hit the Knight. Then I guess in this case, Slayer would have to be evil. Or Poet could be evil, and then Enlightened's not corrupted, but Empress would be telling the truth. We do know that 9 is good. Then Judge would also be good. I don't know. I feel like Enlightened's most likely telling the truth. I don't think it's possible for the Empress to be corrupted, because then we would need good, and telling the truth, but we couldn't have a second corrupted. But Empress could be evil, and then we'd have good, and one of these 2 is corrupted. Here's something interesting. It's impossible for both the Judge and the Empress to be evil, because then the Empress would be a contradiction. It's very possible for, like, one of them to be corrupted. But if the Judge says the Empress is telling the truth, then they're both good. So that could be some really valuable intel. Okay. One of them is evil or corrupted. Or they can't both be lying as well, because the Poet would then be lying. Let's consider the possibilities. We have truth. You could not be corrupted. You could be evil. Then Poet could be truth or corrupted, which in that case, Enlightened could be the other corrupted, and Knight is therefore not corrupted. Or Judge could be corrupted, and then the Knight would not be corrupted. That's what I'm just trying to figure out. Or the Judge is evil, the Empress is telling the truth, and then the Poet is either telling the truth or corrupted. So, no matter what the Judge is, we know that the Knight cannot be corrupted. Die. Oh, got a minion out of that. That's even better. You don't get that often. Okay, so actually, Oracle has to be telling the truth. This has to be a twin minion now. Lilith cannot kill herself. So, is it possible for, like, the Slayer to be evil? Well, then Empress would have to be corrupted, because Poet or Judge would not be evil. But then Poet would also be lying, and we're out of liars. So Slayer's not evil. Can Slayer be corrupted? So Poet would then be lying. Oh, Poet would have to be evil, in fact. Empress would have to be telling the truth. And then the Judge doesn't make sense either. Yeah, we can't have a third liar. So Slayer actually must be good, and they are good. Can Enlightened be evil? Well, no, you almost have to think about the liar's economy. There is one liar amongst Judge and Empress, so if Enlightened's the other liar, then somehow Poet would have to be telling the truth, but that just wouldn't be possible. Okay, so I guess Enlightened could easily be corrupted, truth, and then one of you 2 is evil. I guess we're kind of narrowing down Plague Doctor at this point. Like, is Plague Doctor good or evil? Is it possible for Plague Doctor to be evil? We'd have 1 liar, 2 liars, and then the Poet would be a 3rd liar. So Plague Doctor has to be good. Okay. Lastly, Enlightened can't be evil. Can the Poet be evil? Well, then Empress would have to be telling the truth. Judge would have to be corrupted. Enlightened would be telling the truth. I guess that's fine. Can the Judge be evil? Empress would be telling the truth. Poet would be telling the truth. And we have Enlightened. And last but not least, Empress could be evil. Judge would be telling the truth. And then either one of these could be corrupted. So Empress is never corrupted. One of these are evil. Wait, so we know that Enlightened can't be evil. Therefore, between good and corrupted, Enlightened is just telling the truth. So, Poet is a liar. Either they're corrupted or evil. I could check with Plague Doctor. 6 is evil, 5 is corrupted. Oh, it told me the face down was evil. That's not helpful. Well, okay, we know you're corrupted. So now either Empress or Judge is evil. Well, I guess Slayer can help me decide. Couldn't kill 4? Okay, so 2 is evil. Let's got him. And we've ascended to ascension level number 5. What type of challenges will await us then? Find out next time. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next video. Have a wonderful day and peace.